Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, September 1st, and we are done with August. So we're starting a brand new month here and a brand new week, and I'm trusting that you are connecting with Jesus in deep and meaningful ways, that your hunger for Him is increasing, and that you're seeking after Him with all your heart. And I know that this COVID season has really drawn my heart closer to Him. My dependency on Him is growing, and this is a good thing. Never waste a good opportunity to grow in Christ. As we talk about reorienting and figuring things out for the fall, one of the questions people have is, what are we doing with children's ministry at the church? And this is a big question. We have so many children in our church. We're so fortunate. God has blessed us with so many young people. And so how are we caring for them? Well, there are some significant obstacles in our way to do ministry. But Pastor Christy, our children's pastor, and her team, Cody and Shanna, have done some incredible dreaming and thinking and with her volunteer teams as well. We have just exceptional volunteers in children's ministry. And so I want to talk to her a little bit to give you some insight on kind of what's coming up. I'm having a conversation with her. There was some delay, some glitch delay, and I apologize for that. Her voice is clear, but maybe the video is a bit delayed. But you just listen in because she has some fantastic creative things to say. If you know a family with young kids in our church, make sure they give this video a listen. Okay, let's go to Christy now. Well, good morning, Christy. How are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you, Pastor Tim?
I'm fantastic, and so good to talk to you today. And there's a few things I want to talk about. I know a lot of people are just wondering about, church and their reorienting of how they're going to land back on their feet with church stuff. And a big part of that is kids ministry. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today. And to do that, to start, tell me just a little bit about your heart for ministry to our children in our church.
Yeah, for sure. I want to share, first of all, like our vision for the kids of Sylvan Lake. And that is that every child would come to know and follow Jesus. Mm-hmm. And then secondly, it's that every parent would be equipped to disciple their children. And then finally, that every volunteer would serve with passion and giftedness. And so everything that we do is through that lens, building upon our church's mission statement, but it's just more specific to kids ministry. Right. And so really everything we're doing is trying to lead kids to Jesus, and then to equip parents to help them grow in their walk with Jesus. And then the volunteers that we bring on board, we want them to use every single gift that God has given them to minister to those in our community and here in our church body. So that's our vision for our kids ministry for Sylvan Lake. But for me personally, beyond that, God gave me Ephesians 3 as a scripture many years ago. And my prayer for our kids is that in Ephesians 3, verses 16 to 21, it talks about the depth of God's love. And so my prayer has always been that our kids would really know and truly be able to grasp how long and how high and how wide and how deep the love of Jesus is for them. And that when they're our age, Tim, that they never doubt that love. Like, I think sometimes as we get skeptical and the world takes over and we go through times in our lives where we doubt, does God really love us? And so my prayer is that kids would have that firm foundation and be so rooted in God's love at a young age that when they're our age, they never doubt it. They just know. They know that they know that they know because they're so grounded.
That's awesome.
In their relationship.
I'd love to be your age again, Christy. So thanks for including me in that. Yeah, no, I know your heart beats for our kids, and this season is killing you. And tell me a little bit about that. You were just saying how you're missing the kids and.
Yeah, I miss our conversations. I miss that interaction on a Sunday. Those kids that are coming, I'm so excited to see them come through the doors, but our time is very limited, and we just don't get to have those really cool conversations of what's happening in their world and what is God teaching them through this time and how are they being challenged, what are their big joys, what has been the highlights and what has been the hard things, and just being able to have those conversations has been limited. I've been able to do some porch visits and that kind of thing, but it has definitely been limited. And so, yeah, so I miss that. I miss being able to just share Jesus with these kids, share stories and have fun with them. And yeah, and so it's been very difficult. I'll be honest.
Well, and that's it. I know your heart beats for our children and you want to see things happen, but there are some significant obstacles. And I know there's a lot of parents with young kids, and to them, thinking of sitting through a service with their children the whole time is just unfathomable. And, we've been able to, for just decades, been able to provide childcare for our children and to invest in them with the Spirit. And but there's some significant obstacles these days that are keeping you from your heart's desire. Can you let me know a little bit about what those obstacles are?
Yeah, so a few things. Like one, we're not permitted to offer any kind of ministry for kids 2 and under, or under 2 at this point. That's just not, and that is a big age that's really difficult to sit in a service. Right. And so we're not permitted to provide that at this time. And then when it comes to the older kids, it's just like trying to ensure physical distancing is in place. They really want us to have cohorts formed. I'm not sure how you do that when you have new families coming to church every week. How do you have a cohort? How do you keep that cohort? They want the same teachers teaching the same group of kids every week. So it's really hard to try and figure out that context. What does that look like? And then when you add multiple services on top of that, that gets even a little more complicated beyond that, unless of course every family commits to the same service every single Sunday and the same group of kids. And physical distancing in our current building is actually quite difficult for kids ministry too. Our rooms are very small, and so trying to figure that out too, to try and ensure some physical distancing is quite difficult.
Yeah, I hear that, and so what kind of things you met with your team just recently, and what kind of things are you guys thinking of for the fall?
Yeah, so I will tell you, I am really excited about, during this time, God has given us opportunities to try new things. And so, like for instance, like even this summer, our VBS programs, we had 2 different ones offered. And for those people that had signed up and led these VBSs in our communities, and I know some of them are still working on them, and so they haven't quite completed them yet. And it's been really cool to hear the stories coming out of that. And so we've been given opportunities to reach, I think, at a deeper level, but a smaller level, if that makes any sense. Like smaller group of kids, but you can go deeper with a smaller group of kids. And so that's been really cool. So some of the things that we have planned for the fall is we're going to continue online Sunday school, which we currently have on our Facebook page. But the cool thing is it's going to be our own people teaching the lessons now. Cool. Starting the beginning of September. So, and right now, basically what we've been providing, our curriculum company has been amazing, and they provided so much for us, and I'm really thankful for it in this time. But it's been really geared for probably grade 1 to 4-ish. And so I feel like our littles have been missing out. And so, so what we're doing is we have our pre-K kindergarten lessons that will be geared specifically for them, and then we have our grade 1 to 4 lessons that are geared for them. Yeah, and then we've come up with like a follow-up social media strategy that, like, Monday is going to be Monday memory, so the kids are going to review their memory verse, and then Tuesdays is Tuesday trivia, so we're going to quiz them on their story that they learned on Sunday and the key points, and then Wednesday is Wednesday worship. Thursday is Thursday Thought, so they'll be hearing from either one of us as staff or another volunteer about their thoughts on the lesson. And then Friday is a family fun day. So there'll be a family activity that will be really fun for the families to engage in to reinforce the lesson that was taught on the previous Sunday. That is awesome. And then Saturday is Social Media Sabbath. We're taking a break of social media on Saturday.
Nice. That is super creative. I love it. I didn't hear taco in there even once, so I don't know. Okay,
Sorry.
that's fine.
You
That's
can,
fine.
you can have your Tuesday trivia while eating tacos.
Okay, perfect. Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
But we're going to take it a step further starting in October. We're actually going to we're working on a family, what I'm kind of like, I'm picturing a family happy meal, like come to the church at the beginning of the month and you pick up your family happy meal that will have even more resources in there as a family to reinforce and go deeper with your kids. Like a lot of these things are going to be online, but there's going to be even more in your family take-home pack.
Cool.
So through the month of September, we're going to be asking you to sign up for those so we know how many to make and how many to make customized for your family and that kind of thing. Do you need preschool and elementary? That kind of thing. So that's for our pre-Ks to our grade 4s. And then our grade 5, 6s, our Club 56. So before COVID, we were meeting once a month for Club 56s. And then when COVID hit, I was like, man, I don't get to see my Club 56 on Sundays, and I'm not even being able to meet them once a month. And so I was like, okay, we're gonna start doing Zoom once a week. And so we started, probably about a month into COVID, we started doing Zoom meets, like in the evenings, once a week with our Club 56. And then when it got really nice, then we started doing outdoor backyard gatherings, and it was awesome. I loved it. And so I'm like, I want to keep with that trend. So this fall, starting again in October, we are going to, on Wednesdays from 3:30 to 4:30, we are going to have Club 56 here at the church. So a couple of things that are going to be a little bit different this year is the first Wednesday of every month is going to be a fun activity. We're just going to have lots of fun and bring your friends to it and that kind of thing. We are limited to still 50. Our numbers are still capped at, we can only do 50 kids at this point. And then the other 3 weeks of the month, we are going to be doing an in-depth Bible study with those kids. And so that will take place on Wednesday afternoons from 3:30 to 4:30 here at the church. So there'll be more details coming out with that, but I'm excited to be meeting with our Club 56 grade 5s and 6 students every Wednesday from 3:30 to 4:30. So, awesome. Yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you, Christy. You and your team are you're scrappy on your feet. You're trying to find ways to make things work and praying that God will use all of our efforts to that our families can grow closer together and that we can grow closer to Jesus as family groups as well. So thanks so much for all you guys are doing, and keep hanging in there. Wait.
Sure, 2 more things.
2 more things. Bring it on.
Okay. So also for those families that are coming to church on Sunday, we will still have something for your kids to interact with during the service. So throughout the summer, they've had worship bags. It's going to look a little bit different come the fall, but there'll still be something for your kids. And maybe even, I don't want to promise this yet, but maybe even a kids feature during the service. But
you got to talk for that.
We haven't talked about that yet. So maybe that might happen eventually. Would be kind of fun. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about outreach events, and we're excited again of new opportunities. What can these outreach events look like this fall? And I know that big things that we look forward to are trunk or treat, the Christmas lights night. There's lots of different things that we look forward to throughout the year, but we're looking at what are some ways that we can still do things in our community here at Sylvan Lake that are COVID friendly and lots of fun. And so we're brainstorming, we're praying about that. I'm excited about some potentials that we have stirring in our heads and our hearts, and hoping that that if it's in God's plan, that it will all come to fruition. So
that's great. Well, let's get at her. You're doing great. What was I going to say? Oh, and also I grew up as a little kid, I grew up going to church with my parents. And so if you're, for families with kids, if you wanted to give it a try, I know it's a little crazy, but, and I know I wasn't always totally into it as a kid, but it was also good just to sit with my family in church. So that may be something people want to give a try at too. And I have heard from some of our families that they are surprised at how much their kids are picking up from the sermons and the discussions that they're having at home. So I think that's pretty cool too. So that's good. All right, Christy, thank you so much. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye. Well, I hope that was encouraging to you. And again, if you know families that have young kids and are wondering what's going on, make sure they watch this video so they can learn about what's happening this fall to church. Christy's doing the work to prepare and present these things, but we need families to connect with them and enjoy them for the whole thing to work, for the circle to be complete. So I encourage you to be a part of this. If you have young kids, just lean into this fall. God's going to do great things in our families, in our relationships with each other, in our relationships with Jesus. So I encourage you to just to connect with as much of these things as you can. And if you want to take a risk and bring your kids to church, Christy has things available for the kids during the service, and way more than I ever got as a kid. But I still like sitting in church with my parents. It was a good experience, good learning thing for me to be in a place where God's word was being taught. So if you'd like to try that, just take a risk one Sunday and try it. It may be you may really love it. I hope you have a great week this week as we get ready this last week of summer before Labor Day weekend. And I pray that you have a great time with your family, with your loved ones, and that you have good rest so you're ready to kick off the fall. And I'm excited about what God's going to do. So have yourself a dynamite week. We'll talk to you on Friday.